Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So quick pop quiz. What do Caltech and Boston College and Stanford and Bennington College all have in common? Actually, some qualities that they would like to see from you in your application. Could it be that we could actually figure out what those qualities were? I didn't think that was possible. I was doing a podcast series last year though, and then I was like, wait a minute, maybe we could actually go to college websites and look up and see what these things are that colleges are looking for, and maybe we could even put them on a giant spreadsheet and do an analysis and figure out what those qualities are that colleges have in common. That's what I'm gonna reveal to you in this video, and I'm gonna show you how you weave them into your application. Here goes. Quick side note, I don't want you to be thinking of these as I have to have these in my application, and these are the 5 commandments of college applications. I want you to think of these more as nutrients, in the sense that if you include these qualities somewhere in your college application, it's gonna make for a healthier application. Hold these lightly with a grain of salt, and if you're a counselor watching this video, tell your students to do the same. Oh, and fun fact about these qualities, not only are these qualities that colleges are looking for, but we cross-reference them with qualities that employers are looking for when they look at students who come out of college. And what are some of the qualities that make for a meaningful, well-lived life? And there was tons of overlap. So we won't get into all the details in this video, but rest assured that as you're developing these nutrients, these are qualities that will not only help you maybe get into college, but also are gonna help you maybe get a job and live a more meaningful, purposeful life. All right, so what are the qualities? All right, quality number 1 is something called intellectual curiosity. Now, this is something that you'll hear lots and lots of colleges talk about. They want to know, are you going to be able to show up in the classroom and not just do the assignments, but are you actually going to engage with the material? Are you going to ask difficult questions? Are you going to make connections, etc.? And you can show these in a whole bunch of different ways. For example, it could be that academically, maybe you took an online course in neuroscience after you read The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Great book, by the way. You should totally check it out. It could be that in terms of your extracurriculars, maybe you ran a science fair experiment on soil pH, improving the method each round, and you've got the results to prove it. Or maybe you just spent a summer obsessed with film scores and analyzing them, or you watched lots of behind the scenes directors takes, which I totally did in college and post-college. And that's how your intellectual curiosity expresses itself. Whatever it is, find ways to weave this into your application. Where? The personal statement, supplemental essays, maybe even in your additional information section, or with the stuff that you give your teachers or your counselor for your rec letters. Let them know how much of a nerd you are, and by nerd, I mean somebody who's specifically curious and engaged with cool, interesting, smart stuff, because you're probably a nerd for something. The next one is service to others and or community impact. So this is to say, do you go beyond what you're interested in, what you care about, and do you help others? And intellectual curiosity, it can show up in a whole bunch of different ways. For instance, academically, in the classroom, maybe you partnered with a teacher to revamp the English syllabus to include more diverse authors. Maybe, in terms of your extracurriculars, you coached a youth basketball team and you mentored younger kids and built team spirit. And you were not just a coach, you were an inspiration. Or I don't know, something like that. Or maybe your parents had a lot of medical appointments and they don't speak English, and so you acted as translator. And in that sense, you were a service to your very local community, which is to say your family, because that stuff counts, y'all. Where does community service and impact show up in your application? Community service and impact are gonna show up maybe in your counselor recommendation letter, if your counselor is writing your rec letter, maybe in your essays, your personal statement or your supplemental essays, but almost certainly it's going to show up in your activities list, which is to say your brag sheet, which is basically all the awesome things you've done. Make sure you get really specific with numbers that show impact, and I've got a whole guide on how to write an awesome activities list linked below this video. The third one is leadership, or what some colleges call initiative. I like to call this curiosity with legs, which is to say, I'm not only interested in doing a thing or interested in this particular problem or issue, I actually did something about it. And it can show up in a whole bunch of different ways. For instance, maybe you started a study group that turned to a school-wide tutoring initiative that a lot of folks loved and got on board with. Maybe it's an extracurricular activity, you started a composting program after realizing just how much food was getting thrown out. Or it could be something personal. Maybe you took initiative when your family wasn't making enough money, and so you got a summer job, or you got a regular job during during the school year to help pay the bills, or maybe you took on extra responsibilities with your siblings, because again, this stuff counts. Now, this is stuff that can show up in your activities list. It can also potentially show up in your additional information or the challenges and circumstances section. And yes, it could also show up in your essays. The fourth one is one that students often overlook, and it's collaboration. And I say this because sometimes I'll look at a completed application and I'll be like, this is an amazing application. The student seems like they've been doing a lot of cool things, but something is missing. And when I scan it through, I realize I'm seeing this person working on their own, like doing lots of cool stuff, but I don't really know what kind of community member they're gonna be. And remember, colleges are putting together a community. They wanna make sure that you play nicely with others, that you're not just a lone wolf. So where does this one show up? What are some examples of this one? Well, I'll tell you. Again, could be academic. Like maybe you led a group project organizing tasks based on every person's strengths and you finished early and you learned a lot and it was amazing. Or maybe in terms of extracurriculars, you organized a whole bunch of different clubs together and got them to work together, and together you raised whatever, lots more money for a particular cause that all of you cared about. Or it could be something that's like much more local and personal. Like maybe you collaborate well when it comes to like, I don't know, your siblings, or you help mediate a conversation between two friends or two teammates. All these things, whether they're big, whether they're like community focused, or whether they're just very local, count in your application. Where can you talk about them? Again, supplemental essays could be in rec letters if you tell your teacher or your counselor about it. Now, where does collaboration come through in your application? It could be that you include a few details in your activities list that hint at you working together with different clubs. It could be that maybe your counselor is aware of your collaboration skills and they speak about you in the community, but chances are this is going to be something that really comes through in your essays. So either your personal statement or supplemental essays. Make sure if you're putting it in for like a particular school that has a particular supplemental essay, that you include something else, maybe in your personal statement, for collaboration, so that colleges that aren't getting those particular supplemental essays see that particular aspect of you. And finally, the fifth quality is consistent engagement. And we saw this come up again and again from a whole bunch of different schools. Consistent engagement can look like a whole lot of different things. It could be in the classroom, taking 4 years of a language, even if it wasn't required and it got really difficult. Or maybe in terms of your extracurriculars, like you started theater in your freshman year and you stayed with it, and you went from being like a minor character to a major role in these different plays. Or it could be that consistent engagement came through in like a particular project or a thing that you were working on. Like maybe you took up crocheting when you were younger and you've like consistently done crocheting. Maybe, I don't know, you sell your wares at like a local fair or something. So basically picking something that you've done, whatever that thing is, and showing that you've done it over several years can be really great. And if you're watching this and you're a senior, you don't have that, sorry, go back in time and watch this video. Or send it to somebody younger. Where does this come through? Comes through in your transcript, basically like the grades that you've gotten in the classes that you've taken over several years. Comes through in your activities list, so when you've been involved in certain things. And it could, if you wanted to, you can include some details of it in your essays if you like. All right, just to recap, and let's see if I can remember them all. Number one, intellectual curiosity. By the way, these aren't in any particular order. This is just like things colleges care about. Number two is service to others and or community impact. Number three is leadership and or initiative. Number four is collaboration, aka working with others. And number five is consistent engagement. I did it, I remember them all. If you have trouble remembering these, don't worry, because linked below this video, I've got a long blog guide that gets into more detail on these. Plus, I put together an epic podcast series with my colleague Tom, where we talk to deans and directors and assistant directors of admission about what each of these qualities are, what they look like in the high school experience, and then how you can continue to like explore and express these in college and beyond. Thanks for watching as ever. If you found this useful, send it to a friend or smash that like button. I feel so cheesy every time I say that, but hey, we've got free resources linked below, including our college application hub, which has got pretty much all the things. We do one-on-one support if that's something that you're interested in. Even if you have no money and you're a low-income student and you're like, I can't afford one-on-one support, check out our Match Sliders program, because we'd love to support you. And we have amazing counselors who can help you throughout this process. All right, much love. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.